תגיד לי איך לעצור את הדמעות, תגיד לי איפה יש עולם אחר לחיות, תגיד לי למה אין אמת רק הזיות, אז למה לנסות ולהמשיך עכשיו לבכות? לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. תגיד לי איך לעצור את הדמעות, תגיד לי איפה יש עולם אחר לחיות, כשאנשים רצים אל תופת כמו אל ים, אני ארוץ אל תוך האש אם יחזרו משם. לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. תגיד לי איך לעצור את הדמעות, תגיד לי
Good evening. My name is Mark Fisher. I'm the CEO of the Meyerson JCC, and I want to welcome you to this year's Yom HaZikaron memorial service in partnership with the Jewish Federation of Cincinnati and generously funded by the Jewish Foundation of Cincinnati. I would like to thank Holly Wolfson and Deborah Silverman and the amazing team at the J for organizing both tonight's program as well as the other programs this week celebrating the Yoms. Finally, thank you to each of you for being part of the ceremony. And I would like to now introduce you to Daniel Minson, President of the Jewish Federation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Yom HaZikaron is the National Remembrance Day observed in Israel for all fallen Israeli military personnel who lost their lives in the struggle that led to the establishment of the State of Israel, and for those who have been killed subsequently while on active duty in Israel's armed forces. This day also honors those who have lost their lives in terror attacks. Yom HaZikaron begins at sundown when a siren is sounded across the country of Israel. Everything stops, including cars driving on the highway, and a minute of silence is observed. Unlike this country, Israel's wars have taken place at home, and everyone is touched by those who have died in the country's wars. This makes Yom HaZikaron an incredibly personal time of remembrance. Today, in observance of this meaningful tradition, we will sound a siren and ask that you all stand together in silence to honor Israel's fallen soldiers and victims of terror. Please rise.
We light this candle in memory of the soldiers who died in the defense of the State of Israel and the victims of terror. And we light this second candle in loving memory of Aviel, Anat, and Oferon, Zichram Livracha, my wife Naomi's uncle and two cousins who were murdered in the suicide bombing terrorist attack on the restaurant Matzah in the city of Haifa, March 31st, 2002. May they forever rest in peace. Yehi Zichram Baruch.
I'm lighting this candle in memory of the soldiers who gave their lives on behalf of the State of Israel. And I'm lighting the second candle in memory of my uncle, Asaf Kabish, who gave his life for the State of Israel.
יזכור עם ישראל את בניו ובנותיו הנאמנים והאמיצים, חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל, וכל לוחמי המחתרות וחטיבות הלוחמים במערכות העם, ואנשי קהילות המודיעין, הביטחון, המשטרה ושירות בתי הסוהר, אשר חירפו נפשם במלחמה על תקומת ישראל, וכל מי שנרצחו בארץ ומחוצה לה בידי מרצחים מארגוני הטרור, יזכור ישראל ויתברך בזרעו ויאבל על זיו העלומים, וחמדת הגבורה וקדושת הרצון ומסירות הנפש של הנספים במערכה הכבדה. יהיו חללי מערכות ישראל, עטורי הניצחון, חתומים בלב ישראל לדור ודור ונצח נצחים.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המוצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים טהורים וגיבורים, כזוהר הרקיע מאירים ומסעירים, לנשמות חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל, לוחמי המחתרות שנפלו במלחמות ישראל, פעולות הגנה, תגמול ביטחון ובית מילוי תפקידם ובית שירותם, ונשמות כל לוחמי המחתרות וחטיבות הלוחמים במערכות העם ולקהילות המודיעין, הביטחון, המשטרה, שחירפו נפשם למות על קדושת השם, ובעזרת אלוהי מערכות ישראל, הביאו לתקומת האומה והמדינה ולגאולת הארץ, ועיר האלוהים וכל אלה שנרצחו בארץ, ומחוצה לה בידי המרצחים מארגוני הטרור, בעבור שאנו מתפללים, בהנזכרות נשמותיהם, בגן עדן מנוחתם, לכן ברחמים, יסתירם בצאתר כנפיו לעולמים, בצרור החיים, את נשמותיהם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ויעמדו לגורלם לקיץ הימים, ונאמר Amen.
Striving to create an idealistic society and a new Sabra Jewish men and women in the land of Israel, the early Zionists spoke often of equality. In the paramilitary organizations that set the foundation for the establishment of the Israeli Defense Force after the establishment of the state, women were included among the pilots, paratroopers, machine gun operators, and frontline fighters. Throughout its existence, women took direct and covert parts in protecting the state, building it, developing it, and standing at its helm. This year, we want to honor the brave, strong, and committed women of all rank and file who paid a price for the state of Israel to survive and thrive.
בקצה השמיים בסוף המדבר יש מקום רחוק מלא פרחי בר, מקום קטן עלוב ומשוגע, מקום רחוק, מקום בלי דאגה. שם מה שיקרה וחושבים על כל מה שקרה, אלוהים שם יושב ורואה ושומר על כל מה שברא. אסור לקטוף את פרחי הגן, אסור לקטוף את פרחי הגן, ודואג נורא. וחושבים על כל מה שקרה, אלוהים שם יושב ורואה ושומר על כל מה שברא. אסור לקטוף את פרחי הגן, אסור לקטוף את פרחי הגן, ודואג נורא. בקצה השמיים ובסוף במדבר, יש מקום רחוק, מקום בלי דאגה.
This year, our community particularly honors Karen Tendler. Karen Tendler was born in Rehovot in Israel on September 26, 1979. She was the daughter of Rivana and Don Tendler and the older sister of Nadav. As a child, Karen was very happy and enjoyed swimming. In fact, she was an outstanding swimmer and continued to swim throughout her life. As a student, Karen excelled. She attended high school at Ort Tech with a focus in mechanics. Teachers remember Karen as quiet and focused on her studies. One teacher, Nassim Hillel, a mechanics department administrator, said what made Karen special was that she knew how to draw others in. It was in high school that Karen expressed that she wanted a significant job in the Army. Karen studied for 2 additional years after high school to earn an engineering degree. In the Army, Karen was extremely hardworking. Each day, Karen would wake at 5 a.m. to study huge manuals about helicopter parts and their functions. Her determination and perseverance eventually led her to becoming the first female helicopter pilot to serve in the IDF. It was said that men found it difficult at first to accept her position, but when they saw her knowledge, that changed. Karen's active duty service ended prior to the start of the Second Lebanon War. She became a law student and a reserve soldier in the IDF, but when the war began, Karen immediately requested to be re-enlisted as an active duty soldier. She repeatedly asked her commanding officers to include her in missions. She was passionate about serving her country. On August 12, 2006, First Sergeant Karen Tendler's helicopter was shot down in South Lebanon by Hezbollah during the Second Lebanon War. No one aboard the helicopter survived. Karen's parents inscribed on her gravestone, "Our Karen, smiling, ambitious, loving human beings, soldier, in our hearts forever." We'll now hear directly from Rivana and Don Tendler, Karen's parents. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm Edith Moss, and here is Rivana and Don Tendler, parents of the fallen Israeli soldier Karen Tendler, Zichronah Livracha. I want to begin by sharing that I'm also from Rehovot, the same city where you're from. And when I visit Israel and Rehovot every summer, I often go to the park that's close to where my family lives. And the park is named in memory of Karen Tendler. And when I'm at the park, I always wonder and think about Karen. This year, when we began thinking and planning our Yom HaZikaron service in Cincinnati, I knew that I wanted to honor Karen's memory by asking you telling her story. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting us. We are very proud and very happy to speak about our daughter. At the beginning, she started by taking ballet lessons, and then she switched to swimming. At the beginning, her father was a trainer. Her trainer, my husband, is a very good sportsman, not like me. And then she continued with swimming. From elementary school, she passed to Ort Rehovot. From the junior high school to the college, she was in Ort Rehovot. And there, she made acquaintance with Air Force. Ort Rehovot had a special project, a special collaboration with Telnov Air Force Base, and from there she got the the feeling that she was good for technical learning. In fact, probably the technical ability, maybe she was born with it, because she later she developed very good. She was very good in her studies. She was among a class of 30. There was one or two girls. That's all. And she was the only one who continued her studies. And when she enlisted the army, when she enlisted the army, she was already a practical engineer, specializing in mechanics.
We were wondering if she always knew that she was going to be like a combat soldier, because students in Israel, when they're in high school, they don't always know what they want to be when they're in the IDF. But you already shared that when she was in Ot, Rehovot, that kind of led her to the Air Force too.
And from the very beginning, she told her friend that she said, I don't want to be a secretary and make coffee in the army. I want to be a combat soldier. Like everybody, like men, girls not always get the combat field. They become secretaries. And she said from the very beginning, I want to be a combat soldier, not a secretary.
Back to her childhood, is there something like in her personality when she was a child that you both of you saw in her that she's going to be one of the people like that break gender barriers in Israel?
I think she had she never gave up. Whatever she wanted, she never gave up. She had a strong will. Maybe that's a strong will and her strong personality encouraged her to become what she became later. As she said, she never gave up. She also had us behind her. She never gave up swimming. She went to competitions. She got medals. Even from the childhood, she never, whatever she wanted to do, she did it. She never gave up. I think that's a very good characteristic for somebody who wants to become an important person, okay? At the beginning, she learned first. I told you that she was a practical engineer when she entered the old college in Rehovot. She was supposed, in fact, she enlisted at the age of 17 and a half, but only for training. Mm-hmm. Then she came back to study. And then after 2 years, she enlisted properly in the army. She had a course after she enlisted. She had a course in what is called Technical School of the Air Force in Haifa. And there she got in love with the helicopters. It means with the Yasur. Yasur in English is Sikorsky type of helicopter. You also call it a chopper. No, I don't know exactly what the practical difference are between helicopter and chopper. There she had a course, Sikorsky type C-53. This is a Yasur. After 4 months, she came to Tel Nov base. Yasur is only in Tel Nov. in terms of you don't find it somewhere else. You have to see to understand that she also already what we call a ground mechanic. After that course, you are called a ground mechanic. She passed very difficult tests. Difficult tests, not only physical, but also mind test, a lot of tests. But from the very beginning, she said, I want to be, I want to continue, not a ground, but an airborne mechanic. Now, you have to understand, Yasur Sikorsky C-53 is a very complicated machine. There are two kinds of helicopters. It's Black Hawk, which is thinner and less complicated, and Yasur is very complicated. But she wanted to learn it. She knew every screw, every nail in the Yasur. And she said, I want to be an airborne mechanic. Until Keren, there was no girl who learned and who passed the test to be an airborne mechanic. There were in the Yasur, in the Sikorsky helicopter, there were some girls before who were, but they served in the Black Hawk. The only one at that time who became, for the first time, a female airborne mechanic was Keren.
We are getting close to the end of our interview, but we do want to ask you if there is one thing that you want the Cincinnati community to remember Keren by, what would it be?
To remember Keren by her determination, by her excellence, by her spirit of giving, and by her smile. If you look at her picture, most of the pictures, she's smiling. One of the most, if you look at her picture, she's dressed in during the training of the airborne course, she's smiling. She's always smiling. She was a very pleasant person, very determined, but she was very pleasant. I would like also to say something. I don't know how much they know of Hannah Senesh, but maybe you'll understand. There are people, that's what is interesting, I say it for Keren. There are people whose brilliance of their memory shines even after they are gone. But that's exactly what is Keren.
Yes. Yes, she definitely opened doors for other soldiers, other female soldiers.
You know, how many times there are some, sometimes they speak about girls who want to go to the army, girls who want to be combat soldiers. They always remind Keren. Poreche Derek, she opened the way to them. They always remind Keren. It's interesting. For us, this is a way of continuing. You know, this compensates our loss.
כשהלב בוכה, רק אלוהים שומע, הכאב עולה מתוך הנשמה. אדם נופל לפני שהוא שוקע, תפילה קטנה חותכת הדממה. שמע ישראל אלוהי, אתה כל יכול. נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל. בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד. חזק אותי אלוהי, עשה שלא אפחד. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח. עשה שיגמר, כי לא נותר בי כוח. כשהלב בוכה, הזמן עומד מלכת. האדם רואה את כל חייו פתאום, אל הלא נודע, הוא לא רוצה ללכת. אלוהיו קורא על סף תהום. שמע ישראל אלוהי, אתה כל יכול. נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל. בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד. חזק אותי אלוהי, עשה שלא אפחד. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח. עשה שיגמר, כי לא נותר בי כוח. שמע ישראל אלוהי, אתה כל יכול. נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל. בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד. חזק אותי אלוהי, עשה שלא אפחד. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח. עשה שיגמר, כי לא נותר בי כוח.
A prayer for the IDF soldiers. May the Holy One who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob bless the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces who keep guard over our country and cities of our Lord from the border with Lebanon to the Egyptian desert and from the Mediterranean Sea to the approach to the Arabah, be they on land, air, or sea. May the Almighty deliver us our enemies who arise against us. May the Holy One preserve them and save them from all sorrow and peril, from danger and ill. May God send blessing and success in all their endeavors. May God deliver to them those who hate us and crown them with salvation and victory, so that the saying may be fulfilled through them. For the Lord your God who walks with you to fight your enemies for you and to save you. And let us say, Amen.
מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא הגנה לישראל העומדים על משמר ארצנו וערי אלוהינו מגבול הלבנון ועד מדבר מצרים ומן הים הגדול עד לבוא הערבה ביבשה באוויר ובים. ייתן אדוני את אויבינו הקמים עלינו ניגפים לפניהם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם. ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם, ויעטרם בכתר ישועה ובעטרת ניצחון. ויקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם עם אויביכם, להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ביעמד יברח רותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי בכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה וברך לעולם עולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי בקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן ביעמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום בממיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
נפש יהודי הומייה ולפתי מזרח קדימה עין לציון צופיה עוד לא תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים.
I would like to thank all of you for attending the service tonight. I would also like to thank the chairs of the Yom Week, which are Brett and Noah Stern. I would also like to thank the passionate volunteers that made this evening possible. Liat Alon, Jason Cook, Edith Moss, Eti Shire, and Lior Zaref. I would also like to invite you to join us for a Zoom program following this ceremony. It is an opportunity to participate in conversation and song for Yom HaZikaron. You can find a Zoom link in the chat, and we also sent a Zoom link to anyone that RSVP'd for this event prior to 3 p.m. Thank you again for attending.
תגיד לי איך לעצור את הדמעות, תגיד לי איפה יש עולם אחר לחיות, תגיד לי למה אין אמת רק הזיות, אז למה לנסות ולהמשיך עכשיו לבכות? לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. תגיד לי איך לעצור את הדמעות, תגיד לי איפה יש עולם אחר לחיות, כשאנשים רצים אל תופת כמו אל ים, אני ארוץ אל תוך האש אם יחזרו משם. לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. תגיד לי איך לעצור את הדמעות, תגיד לי